Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Xongi Mathebula, and on today's video I'm gonna be giving you 6 tips that can help you travel on a budget. If traveling on a budget is one of your goals in 2024, then you have come to the right video. Before we start, it is important to know that I am not a financial advisor. I'm giving you these tips based on my own personal experiences. Let's get to it. Tip number 1 is planning in advance. From your accommodation to transportation, food, clothes, and traveling documents. When you are traveling outside the country, you want to do a research about the country that you want to visit. You want to do a research about their currency exchange and what you will be using to pay when you get to that country. I know that in some country, when you are making a transaction using a card, they do charge you an extra 5%. So imagine if you're buying something for 5,000, you are most likely to pay 250 extra because they do charge an extra 5%. Do a research about the exchange rate and how you're gonna pay for things. Sometimes it might be wiser to withdraw and exchange in their currency so that you use the money to pay. But also there is a risk there. What if you lose the money, or what if you get robbed? So you need to do a research about the country that you are going into, and it will save you a lot of money. Again, on planning in advance, you also want to make sure that you check the time frame. When do you want to travel? Do you want to travel during off-peak, or do you want to travel during peak seasons? And I will advise you to travel during off-peak seasons because flights, accommodation, and activities are slightly cheaper. I'm not saying that you must not travel if you want to travel during peak season. Just know that you are most likely to spend more. Let's move into tip number 2. Tip number 2 is having a travel budget in place. How are you going to travel on a budget if you don't have a budget in place? So a budget will help you to control your spending. Allocate money to your accommodation, allocate money to your transportation, food, and clothes, so you will know how much you have and how much you're gonna spend on each of these categories that I have mentioned. And by the way guys, I released a video couple of weeks ago where I was giving 5 tips on how you can smash your 2024 goals, which I believe that it did lay a foundation to a budget conscious lifestyle, which is crucial if you want to travel on a budget. If you haven't watched it, be sure to check it out. I'll leave it on the comment section down below. Now let's move to tip number 3. And tip number 3 is accommodation hack. Accommodation can take a huge amount of money from your budget if you're not being strategic about it. So when looking for a place, you want to decide if you want a self-catering unit or you want an accommodation that will offer you breakfast, lunch, and supper as part of the accommodation fee, or a place that will allow you to buy food in the premises. Again, when you are looking for accommodation, check on different sites. Sites like Airbnb, via bookings.com, and check if you want to book with the hotel directly, and weigh your option. Which one of the sites that I have mentioned will give you best prices? So sometimes it is wise to just go and click today on Airbnb or any of the sites and check what is the price, and come back the following day and see if they are still offering the same price. It might be that when you check today it's 5,000 and when you check tomorrow it's now 4,000. So you always want to check your options before you book. Again, if it is a hotel that you saw on Airbnb, you might want to call the hotel directly and ask them how much they're charging. So I had an experience where I checked on Airbnb, and then when I called the hotel directly, they were offering me the better prices when I compare it with Airbnb. So you always want to just check all the options before you make the final booking. The other thing that I know it's cheaper on accommodation is when you decide to go with backpackers. I know a friend of mine who went to Cape Town and she was paying 400 per night, but she was sharing the place with other travelers. She only had a private room and she was sharing the communal areas with other travelers. And if that is for you and you are comfortable in doing that, then you can go with backpackers. The next thing on accommodation is location. Location is very important when booking for a place to stay. Will this place allow me to walk into some of the attraction sites without having to pay for an Uber or having to drive there myself, which then saves me a lot of money? So the next thing on accommodation is location. The location of your accommodation matters. Will you be able to buy things on your surrounding areas should you need anything, or is it far in the middle of nowhere? And if it's like that, you'll have to do your research what you need to bring so that you don't have to drive long distances to buy some of the essentials that you will need on your vacation. So I'm just going to give you an example of on this one. One time we went to Dalstrom for a day visit, and we booked a place to sleep in Machado. So when we were done with our activities in Dalstrom, we had to drive to Dalstrom. The road condition, guys, was so bad. It was so bad, and I felt like if I did my research about that place, I wouldn't have booked a place to sleep in Machado. And okay, fine, we drove there, and when we get there, they didn't have food. Like, they don't sell food in the premises. In the surrounding areas, there is no place where we can just get food. So we had to drive from Machado to Milis. Those who are familiar with that place will know. We drove all the way to Milis to get food, and we drove back. On our way, there is a toll gate that charges like 100 rand. So we ended up spending 200 rand on toll gates, spending more on fuel, and I felt like even the food, we had to buy food, and it was expensive. So the total of our budget, we exceeded the total of our budget because it was just a day visit, and we went to sleep in Machado, and we were supposed to drive back to Gauteng. That was very expensive, and I felt if I did my research, I wouldn't have booked a place in Machado because first it was the road condition, because of the road condition, and because they didn't offer food in the premises. So before you book a place, you want to make sure that you have done your research about the location and the security, as well as the other things that I have mentioned. Now let's move into tip number 4. Tip number 4 is transportation hack. On the transportation as well, you can take advantage of the discount that are being offered by your bank. I know that if you are banking with Discovery and you have Vitality, you can then get discount on flights. So you just want to do a research on that, and just make sure that when you are booking your flights, you use those discounts. I went to Cape Town myself, and I used that discount, and it was massive. So if you want to travel on a budget, make sure that you do take advantage of the discounts that are being offered by your bank. And if there are other banks that are offering discounts that I didn't mention here, please leave it on the comment section down below so that I can also learn. If you're gonna be using a flight from Johannesburg to Cape Town, I'm just giving an example. What are you gonna use when you land in Cape Town? Will you be using an Uber? Will you be using a hired car? Or will you be using a public transport? So you need to weigh your options and see which one will give you the best discount and not compromising your comfort. If you are going to Cape Town, they do have things like My City Bus that then allows you just buy one ticket and you are able to go to different sightseeing, which I believe it is cheaper. So do your research. If they don't have sightseeing bus, which it is usually cheap, and you end up spending less on transportation if you are using those buses. So you just want to make sure that you don't spend a lot of money on your transportation. You've done your research and you have selected the best option that will give you the best discount and the best prices that fits in your budget. And tip number 5 is activities hack. You can spend a lot of money on activities if you don't plan in advance. You just want to make sure that before you leave for your vacation, you have maybe 5 top activities that you want to do, so that when you get to the place, you are not impulsive and you want to do some of the activities that were not part of your budget. When looking for activities, do your research, search on the internet and check the prices beforehand. So each time I travel, I check how much it will cost me to get into 3 rendezvous. If I'm in Mpumalanga, how much will it cost me to get into the gorge lift? and I know beforehand, so it helps me to budget and put those figures into the activities that I want to do. Again, on activities, you want to check sites that can possibly give you discounts on activities. Sites like Hyperly, I know that they always have activities like horse riding, like quad biking, so you can get better discounts when you buy your tickets on Hyperly. When I went to Cape Town, I wanted to go to the dunes, and they were charging 1,000 per person, and I went to Hyperly. I got a ticket that was offering 1,000 for 2 people, so we ended up saving 1,000. So do a research, have a top 5 of the activities that you want to do, and check sites like Hyperly and see if they are not offering discounts, unlike when you go to the place and have to buy the tickets there. The second thing on activities, you might want to check activity packages. When you go to Cape Town, there is My City Pass that you can buy, and it allows you to go into different attraction sites. So it will allow you to go to Table Mountain, it will allow you to do the cruise, it will allow you to go to the ocean aquarium, like different attraction sites when you buy that package. So this package sometimes might be cheaper if you got it on a discount, and you don't have to buy it the first time you see it. So I usually, when I know that I am traveling to Cape Town in September, I'll keep on checking if they don't have the discount on this My City Pass packages. Also, these City Pass are different. You can get one for 1 day, you can get for 2 days, for 3 days, and for 5 days. So they are different. Choose the one that will fit in your budget, and if this activity package that speak to the activities that you want to do. Otherwise, you might have to just pay per activity, and sometimes it might be cheaper. So do your research, have this 5 lists that you want to do, and see that, okay, if I buy it on the City Pass, maybe it's even expensive to buy the activity package than when I just pay per activity. Do your research. And the last one on activities is that choose to do some of the activities that are free. It's not that when you are traveling you can't do like local things that are free, like going on a hike in Lion's Head, or going on a hike somewhere, going into the beach. Those are free activities. You don't have to spend on every activity when traveling, and that will save you a lot of money. Now let's move to tip number 6. And tip number 6 is clothing or attire. You do not have to buy new clothes each time you are traveling. I know I was a victim of that each time I wanted to travel, I would have to buy new clothes. Like each time I'm traveling, I want to buy new swimwear. Why? And I'm now here sitting with like 10 or 12 swimwear. Is that realistic? It's not. So I would advise you to have a suitable travel wardrobe, and each time you're traveling, you just mix and match there and there. And if you do have the need to buy a few items, just buy what you need and not have to buy like new clothes for the entire vacation. That can be very costly, and if you want to travel on a budget, you want to minimize buying clothes each time you are traveling. And the last thing on clothing, when packing your luggages, you just want to make sure that if you are using a flight, it does not exceed the required maximum kgs. So when they weigh your bag and they say they only allow 20 kg, you want to make sure that you do not exceed there, because if it does, you'll have to pay an extra amount of money, which is also not cheap. So imagine if you have planned your trip and you didn't plan the extra charges for your luggage. You just want to make sure that you pack your clothes that will not exceed the maximum required kgs, and they don't charge you an extra for that luggage. And I have a bonus tip for you, which is tip number 7. So you do not have to buy souvenirs or gifts for everyone. Resist the urge of wanting to buy everyone souvenirs when you are traveling, because this does not come cheaper. So I went to Zanzibar and I bought this key holder for a friend of mine. I hope you can see it. This little thing was like 150. I like it. Like it's very nice. It's written Zanzibar. But if I were to buy this for like 5 people, or my siblings, my 6 siblings, how much will I spend on souvenirs? So be selective on who you're gonna buy the gifts, and I believe that you cannot afford to buy everyone souvenirs because it is very expensive. And by the way, if you haven't watched my Zanzibar vlogs, please go check it out. I will leave it on the description down below. And we have come to the end of this video. If you really enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.